Across the United States, there are towns that seem to defy logic, abandoned overnight, plagued by fire, poisoned by the very people meant to protect them, or haunted by something no one can explain. These places aren't fiction. They're real. And their histories are darker than any horror movie. From cursed mining camps to government-erased communities, these are America's most terrifying real-life ghost towns. Number 1. Centriia, Pennsylvania, the town that's been burning since 1962. In 1962, a routine landfill fire in Centriia, Pennsylvania ignited an underground coal seam. No one realized it at the time, but the fire spread uncontrollably beneath the town and still burns over 60 years later. By the late 1970s, toxic gases rose from cracks in the ground. Streets warped, homes grew dangerously hot, and in 1981, a 12-year-old boy, Todd Domboski, fell into a smoking sinkhole that nearly killed him. The incident drew national attention and led to a government buyout. Most residents accepted, but a few refused. By 1992, Centriia lost its zip code and was condemned. Only 5 residents remained. The town became a ghost of itself, with steam vents spewing from below and warning signs marking unstable earth. Some claim it was bureaucratic failure, others whisper about a conspiracy to access the coal-rich land. "This town is a portal to hell," said Father Daniel McNamara in 1987. And hell doesn't close. Today, roads vanish into overgrowth. Smoke still rises from the ground. And those who visit often report nausea, disorientation, and the feeling that something down there is watching. Number 2. Dudleytown, Connecticut, the village that was erased. Dudleytown, founded in the 1740s in rural Connecticut, was doomed from the start, or so local legend says. The town's founders, the Dudley family, were allegedly cursed for treason against the English crown, and brought that curse with them across the Atlantic. Over the next century, nearly every family in Dudleytown suffered bizarre misfortunes, suicides, murders, insanity, and mysterious disappearances. Mary Cheney, the wife of presidential candidate Horace Greeley, died by suicide shortly after visiting. By the late 1800s, the village was abandoned. Today, only moss-covered stone foundations remain, deep in the forest. The land is privately owned, and entry is forbidden, but thrill-seekers continue to trespass. Many report nausea, hallucinations, and violent dreams afterward. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren famously labeled it demonically possessed. One visitor recalled, "We entered as 4 and left as 3. The 4th was never explained." Is Dudleytown's curse superstition or something darker? Either way, even the forest seems eager to reclaim it. And those who enter often feel they're being watched or followed. Number 3. Elkmont, Tennessee, where no one lives past 50. Once a vibrant vacation retreat in Tennessee's Smoky Mountains, Elkmont attracted wealthy families in the early 1900s with its rustic cottages and fresh mountain air. But over time, stories of early deaths began to emerge. Cancer, nerve disorders, strange illnesses, and a disturbing pattern formed. By the 1990s, nearly every long-term resident had died before turning 50. The National Park Service quietly acquired the land, removed remaining tenants, and barred all future settlement. Officially, the goal was preservation. Unofficially, the silence was deafening. Locals suspected mercury from logging or radiation from military activity in nearby Oak Ridge. Others believed the land was cursed from centuries-old Cherokee burial grounds. "The government's hiding something," said Walter Hensley, one of the last legal residents, in 1998. "And whatever it is, they don't want it found." Today, the moss-covered cabins still stand empty, weathered, and disturbingly quiet. Those who visit often report electrical failure, cold air with no wind, and the unsettling sense that the woods are watching. Number 4. Bod, California, the gold town that curses thieves. Bod, California rose fast in the 1870s after gold was discovered in its dry hills. The town soon swelled to over 10,000 people and gained a reputation as one of the most lawless places in the West. Murders were frequent, fires were common, and its cemetery overflowed within years. But Bod's legend didn't end with its decline. A persistent belief emerged: anyone who takes an artifact from the site, even a stone, will suffer misfortune. Rangers at the Bod State Historic Park still receive packages of returned items, often with letters describing divorce, illness, or even death. One read, "Ever since I took this nail, my life has fallen apart. Please forgive me." Ghost hunters report flickering lights, malfunctioning gear, and chilling voices in the abandoned homes. Even those who enter respectfully often describe headaches and cold spots. "Bodie doesn't like to be disturbed," said park employee Stephen Thomas. "And it always gets even." Today, the ghost town is preserved, but cursed, according to many. Tour if you must, but take nothing. Number 5. Times Beach, Missouri, poisoned by its own government. Times Beach was founded in 1925 as a riverside escape for working-class Missourians. For decades, it remained a quiet town until one devastating decision in the 1970s sealed its fate. To control dust on its dirt roads, city officials hired waste hauler Russell Bliss, who sprayed used motor oil throughout the town. What no one realized was that the oil contained dioxin, a lethal toxin later linked to Agent Orange. Within years, children grew sick, pets died, and cancers multiplied. In 1982, a major flood prompted environmental testing. The EPA discovered dangerously high dioxin levels in the soil, triggering a federal evacuation order. By 1985, the entire town was bulldozed. Over 2,000 people lost their homes. Today, no buildings remain. Though the site was turned into a state park, locals say nothing grows right, and wildlife avoids the area. Russell Bliss was never charged. "We were poisoned," said one former resident in a 1996 interview. "And they buried the truth, just like they buried our homes." What was sold as safety became one of America's most shameful environmental disasters. Number 6. Cairo, Illinois, the town that turned on itself. Once a thriving river port, Cairo, Illinois stood at the meeting of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers and seemed destined for prosperity. But the city's promise was shattered by deep racial division and violent unrest. In 1909, William Froggy James, a black man accused of assaulting a white woman, was lynched before a crowd of thousands. The event became a postcard. No one was ever punished. Decades later, during the civil rights era, Cairo exploded again. The White Hats, a white vigilante group, terrorized black residents while activists organized boycotts. Businesses fled. Schools emptied. The city decayed from within. Today, over 80% of Cairo's buildings stand abandoned. The high school struggles to keep classrooms open. Former Mayor Tyrone Coleman summed it up best: "It's like we never got past 1969. Some call it a curse born from hate and violence. Others see it as the inevitable collapse of a town that refused to change." Either way, Cairo remains a chilling monument to what happens when a community turns on itself and never recovers. Number 7. Helltown, Ohio, government evacuation or secret experiment? In the 1970s, the U.S. government evacuated the residents of Boston Township, Ohio, claiming it was to create a national park. Yet the park never opened, and homes were left to decay behind barricades and road-closed signs. The suddenness of it all sparked endless rumors, chemical spills, mutant creatures, or even covert military experiments. Locals soon dubbed it Helltown. Stories spread about satanic cults meeting in abandoned churches, mutated animals, and disfigured figures stalking the woods. One building, marked by inverted crosses and blood-red graffiti, became a centerpiece of the legend. In a 2002 radio interview, a former park ranger, speaking anonymously, claimed, "We were told to keep away from the paper mill. What happened there was classified." Even today, the federal government offers no real answers. The land remains sealed. And the mystery, perhaps the real curse, only deepens with time. Would you dare camp where the government won't even send its own? Number 8. Jefferson, Texas, the most haunted town in the South. Once a booming port city in the 1800s, Jefferson, Texas declined after the river was diverted, but its ghosts remained. The Excelsior House Hotel, built in 1858, is still in operation and known for paranormal activity. Guests have reported being touched, choked, or awoken by whispers in the dark. According to legend, even Steven Spielberg fled after a ghostly encounter in his room during the late 1970s. Locals trace the hauntings back to a series of lynchings after the Civil War. Others point to deadly steamboat wrecks and tragic river drownings. Dozens of historic buildings now host ghost tours, but some guides refuse to enter certain properties after dark. Author and historian Mitchell Whitington described it best: "You don't ghost hunt in Jefferson, the ghosts find you." Whether you believe in spirits or not, Jefferson's past is soaked in death and trauma. And whatever lingers there hasn't moved on. Number 9. Kennakott, Alaska, the frozen town built on blood and copper. Founded after copper was discovered in 1900, Kennakott, Alaska quickly became one of the richest mining operations in America. But prosperity came at a cost. Workers labored in freezing, dangerous conditions. Accidents were frequent. Dozens died, and many bodies were never recovered from the shafts. In 1913, a miner was found murdered. The case was never solved. In 1938, the company abruptly closed operations and disappeared, leaving workers and families behind without warning. Kennakott became a ghost town overnight. Today, the empty buildings remain almost perfectly preserved in the dry Alaskan air. Visitors often report disembodied voices, flickering lights, and the sound of pickaxes echoing in abandoned tunnels. Paranormal groups believe the town is haunted by those who died in silence and were forgotten. Some say the land was sacred and disturbed. Others believe the town's history of exploitation cursed it from the start. Either way, few places feel so vividly frozen in time and so unervingly alive. Number 10. Lake Shauni Amusement Park, West Virginia, fun built on a grave. Lake Shauni Amusement Park was opened in the 1920s by entrepreneur C.T. Snidow, who unknowingly built it on the site of an 18th-century massacre between settlers and the Shawnee tribe. Locals warned him, but he pressed on. Soon after, tragedy followed. A young girl was killed in a freak accident on a swing ride. A boy drowned in the lake. Several other mysterious deaths and injuries forced the park to shut down in 1966. When the land was excavated decades later, archaeologists found Native American burial sites, including the remains of children. The park reopened briefly for haunted tours in the 2010s, but many visitors reported terrifying experiences. Cold spots, apparitions, ghostly laughter. And one common warning: never go near the swing set. One former tour guide said, "You can feel it watching you. It doesn't want you there." Today, the rusted rides remain, swaying in the wind, a reminder that some playgrounds were never meant to exist.